Thank you for joining the February 14th, 2019 VOLTA call. We do record these and post them to YouTube, so please keep that in mind during any discussion and presentations if we have any today. And on our agenda today, we didn't get to a lot of the new issues on Tuesday's call, so we carried that over for an agenda topic today. We'll start off with that. I wanted to give a little bit of time to Sean to talk to the group to go over some of the topics that we're looking at for technical discussions during the March face-to-face meeting at the end of March. And then if we have the right representation on the call, we'll see if we can get a brief readout on the Tech Profile Brigade status and follow up on some discussion we started on Tuesday related to whether we need to consider doing a brigade for the adapter containerization efforts, including the work with the migration to Golang for OpenOLT. And then if we have some remaining time, another carry-on item from Tuesday is reviewing where we are with the Sprint 14 scope and seeing if there are items that are missing, making sure we have owners for as many things as possible. All right, I think with that, we'll go ahead and get started. Let me bring up the screen with the JIRA issues. And I think where we left off on Tuesday was with 1491. Need to rearrange my screen a little so I can see things. Okay, so let me check. Do we have Shad on the bridge? I don't see him yet.
Not yet.
Okay, so this one was a defect that was opened for OpenOLT adapter fails to connect to device. And there were some related merges in Garrett, so I was wondering if this item was complete. We may need to follow up and check with him. Matt, are you on? Do you happen to know the status for this one?
No, I do not. I have not tried them.
Okay, then I'll just follow up with Shad on that. Thanks. And we do have the discussion about this, or the details in here about it as well. It's first reported by the ONF QA. So next new item we had was 14, another defect. This one, the data between two VOLTA cores in the same pair are not in sync. Ken, this one, I also had a question if this one was complete. Oh, I thought I saw Ken on the bridge.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I was talking to myself.
I do that as well.
Yeah. So this one is fixed. It's all done.
Okay, let me move that to done. Thank you for that. Any comments from the group or questions before we move on? Okay. Next item was 1463. This one is another one that is done. The affinity router doesn't deterministically select cores in a pair. So this one was completed in Sprint 13, I believe. Any questions from the group? Okay. Next defect was 1464. Affinity router prematurely closes southbound streams before sent message complete. And again, we have the description for that, and the work is done also. Any questions from the group? Okay. Then moving on to the next one, 1465, port data synchronization fixes to read-only core. This is another one that has been completed. Any questions from the group? All right, next item, 1466. This one, the adapter intermittently fails to communicate with Kafka. And I think we've got some related info in here below. I'm not sure if we have anything in Garrett. I think this one is still to do, and we don't have an assignee yet for this item.
You can assign that to me.
Okay, thanks, Ken. Any questions from the group? Okay. Next one, I believe this one was moved to SIBA. Yes, this was moved to SIBA, so I don't think we need to review that one here. And then the final item for today is both 1468 KV Watch updates should not trigger callbacks.
Actually, that's done.
Okay, I was going to ask that as well. Any questions from the group? Okay. Thanks, Ken. Okay, let me do a refresh to see if anything came in during the first few minutes here. It looks like nothing new is showing up, so I think we're done with that agenda item. Sean, I believe, let me go back to my agenda, that the next thing we wanted to touch on today was some ideas for topics for technical discussion during the face-to-face lockdown. Do you want me to give you presentation rights, or do you just want to verbally go over things? Or I think I have a Word document that may not be the latest one that's on my screen.
Correct. Pardon me, I have a cold. So why don't you give me the presentation?
Okay. You should have it in a moment.
Yeah, okay. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. So we finally have a very rough agenda for the VOLTA 2.1, 3.0, and CIBA 2.0. And as I said, this time we made an announcement of this face-to-face meeting in the CIBA community also. So they are topic overlapping or will be discussed at the same time. It will be March 26th to 28th. It will be full day, so I would recommend the traveling will start on Monday and Friday. The host is Atran, where I have the address here, and I actually posted also on the VOLTA Discuss and CIBA development mailing list. And the hotel has been very difficult. The nearby expensive ones are all taken, so I think I would suggest people to attend. I mean, to book the hotel as soon as you can. Airline actually not that bad is the hotel. So I have a tentative list of the participants. Currently, I have not received too many confirmation yet. I would expect that the confirmation will come in pretty soon. So the topic size, I think there's something we have been expecting is a scalability testing update with the new core. I'm expecting something we'll be able to report by the end of March. So I list those. And the technology agnostic core, lesson learned about the technology profile, speed profile, and resource manager profiles. And I tentative assign the owner for those various topics. But if the member listed here think their name has not been listed, or they think their name was listed by mistake, let me know. And then the new technology, JIRA FastDB, we have been talking about JIRA Fast for more than a year now. I think both AT&T and DT are interested in the JIRA Fast, and the initial implementation of JIRA Fast is, we probably is only on the DPU management portion. So the device abstraction is a long-term goal right now for this new technology. So I want to touch some of that during the meeting. There's a talk about the broadband data EM model support through GNMI, GNOI. I think this one actually probably is a CIBA topic. So I will probably move it around too. And then the device, the W containerization deep dive. We have OpenOT containerization, and then I think I should. Then the ONU containerization. I think this one I probably should also include the Python and Go based. I think there's a parallel track right now, and then the OpenOMCI containerization. Any questions so far?
Val work I consider separate from OpenOLT containerization.
Yeah. I think I listed as a reference because I also wanted to have the Broadcom to attend. That's why I list that.
We're talking about it, but it may need its own bullet, I guess is really
right. Let me still Control Z. I'll highlight that. the flow decomposer update. I think there are a lot of work have been done on the flow decomposer for the VOLTHA 1.6 core right now. I think the Shad and the Sean and Radisys and I mean the Sarav has been working on that. I think that's one of the topics we probably want to go over today too, also. And then we want to see what I think there are updates on the 1.6 flow decomposer fixes, and it will. I think Ken, you're going to port it into the 2.0, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Right. Do you have the details you need to you need like JIRAs or things like that you need to help you to start the work?
As long as the code is submitted in 1.x branch, and well, that should be good enough.
Okay. So I don't need to ask them to give you a JIRA. That's great.
If they have JIRA's numbers, out. But I mean, like I can just take a look at the code as well.
Okay. And then one of the items is OpenOT adapter-based flow decomposer removal. I think this one. Matt?
So again, with the new core, it's almost like not saying removal. It's more like just conform to the way the Go core does flow decomposition. So removal implies the baggage has been carried over, and I'm under the impression that no baggage has been carried over. So really now it's just understanding how flow decomposition will work in the new core.
Great. How about you know, while you're working on the Python one, is that something also the same thing will also apply to the Python one? I would assume so.
Yeah, to me, it's like as long as everyone conforms to the same messaging interface between Kafka and the adapters, then the work should be similar, whether it's in Python or in Go, as far as I understand now.
Okay.
Yep, that's correct.
And I will rewrite that. The one thing is the southbound of the core, the high availability for the device adapters, and this one I think so far our device adapter has never have a high availability support. We had a discussion with Sergio briefly, and he thinks the affinitive routing router can use in the southbound also. And again, once the affinitive routing is used in the southbound, then the Kafka message bus method will be replaced. So I would like to have better understanding on this one. I think the high availability for the device adapter is not the 2.0 release. So we're putting on the 2.1 and permit. Julie, is that 2.1 or post 2.1?
2.1 is where it is currently on the plan.
Okay.
And maybe discuss what the high availability options are. Again, not knowing enough about how Affinity Router works, you know, it may be the better solution, but maybe we need to just kind of air all the options that are possible and then kind of go from there. I guess I think decided based on a single conversation is my point.
Right. No, I think it's so that's something we want to see whether we can, if we have time before the lockdown happens, see whether, you know, Sergio can give us some input on that one on the Affinity Router on the southbound of the core. I'm expecting that to happen before we meet in the Huntsville. So I think Matt, you mentioned, right? So the Kubernetes itself has some intrinsic high availability support to spin up another container. And so there are options on that one. So
and some of that is also determining what the measure of availability needs to be. Is it measured in milliseconds? Is it measured in seconds? You know, what's the cost of putting a lot of implementation into high availability if we're shaving off seconds in a situation where it really doesn't gain us anything? I mean,
so we need service providers, service providers input on their requirement.
Sure, and it has to be just more than faster is better, right? I mean, everybody obviously says they want faster, better, but we kind of need to quantify that in terms of, can we still pass traffic? Yes. Can we still do DHCP? Maybe, maybe not. You know, what does that really mean?
Right, and then probably you cannot do the channel serving, right? And so that's
right. So it's quantify, you know, faster, better, sure, of course, but you know, why?
Right, and the multicast.
And just on that topic, Sean, you can also have HA with Kafka. It's not necessary that you have to go with affinity router. The affinity router route is more on performance, not really on HA.
Right. So I think working through the options there is
exactly.
where I think if multiple adapters subscribe to the same topic, there's the ability to replay what was in the queue. Then there's some implied replay logic there that could be used to keep up with what's going on. But again, that's just my understanding of Kafka. There may be some problems with that I'm not aware of, so we just need to talk through it.
And then, whether the scalability is concerned for either options.
Right.
Okay. Multicast and IGMP, I will more solidify this one. I don't expect anybody is working on this before March 1st, but right now this one is still on the topic. We definitely need that to be delivered into that one release. So so far I don't see any activity going on right now. The OT device impact management. My voice sounds so good. I feel like I'm like a teenager again. The OT device impact management. I think for the day one, I don't see anything regarding to. It's just IP interface on the VLAN. Potentially those have been established during the ONI or now installation of the white box. So I don't know whether VOLTHA will need to be involved. So maybe this one I'm going to kick off a discussion on this one on the VOLTHA discuss. But I think there are some management aspect of it. Potentially, then we probably need VOLTHA to manage. For example, should you ever want? Yes.
Yeah, the impact management is related and Broadcom SDK. So the impact management is coming the next SDK generation 3.1, and so you can implement based on the 3.1 to implement the impact management.
But when you say 3.1 is about 3.1, it's not SDK.
Yeah, about
right.
Yeah,
so
sorry.
And 3.1 is the internal release. That's the release you'll receive. By the most of the customer will be receiving the 3.2. I think they release naming is like that. Okay, 3.1, 3.2. So that's why I'm saying, do we really want BAO to engage for the impact management? I think that's a discussion that's worthwhile to talk.
Yeah. It is a very close implementation with the kernel. It's a KNet. So we need to focus another kernel interface, talk to the Kubernetes interface. So
right.
So there is very relative and kernel space and user space behavior. So it is based on the BAO 3.1 version.
Right.
So I recommend community to use this version to implement impact management.
Really?
Yeah, 3.1. Yeah.
3.1. I think definitely 3.1, 3.2 we need it. So maybe we need to do something about release discussion.
Edge core got the 3.0 already. So we have been looking at 3.0 source code. Hopefully we can make a patch file middle of the March maybe.
Okay.
So
Edge core. I'll put down this Edge core. Okay. So I'm just wondering if the way I see it is if If it doesn't take too much time to implement, then sure. But if it takes a lot to implement on the OpenOT adapt, I don't even know what OpenOT adapter need to do something about it. So
I don't think any in-band management is possible without Val 3.1, and it has everything to do with, like Jason said, if the Qumran chip via on the the edge core can hand off from the NNI an interface to Open Network Linux. If that can be done, then we can start actually working some of the things northbound. But until that's there, yeah, there's nothing to do.
So I think some topic need to discuss this implementation, like for example, the default VLAN for management,
right.
or another is bandwidth control. Because the management bandwidth is a very high part, so we need. I can think the two topics need to address.
Default VLAN and then bandwidth. But Jason, the way I see it is, the in-band management need to be in there before your device spin up, before VOLTHA can talk to the device.
What has to happen is via the AG switch, right? So there has to be an agreed upon VLAN that when Open Network Linux comes up, it says, I'm going to be given an interface from the NNI, and I'm going to tag myself VLAN 4000. And it's listening and ready on VLAN 4000. The AG switch is going to trunk, or whatever terminology you want to use, VLAN 4000 to wherever the compute is, and compute will have itself for any OpenFlow or any gRPC, or in this case gRPC, to send via the in-band management. So we have to decide which VLAN it is, but the kind of switching in between the NNI, Open Network Linux, and compute have to all agree on that VLAN.
True. And again, the default VLAN could be service provider specific. So I would think the default VLAN can be set by using the config file.
Yeah. My point is it has to be decided so that on boot it's set. Otherwise, nothing.
Right. Agree.
I think that this default VLAN is our scope with OMCI. And we need to address how to apply the default VLAN to every OLT default configuration. So there's a story for the management.
Why OMCI has something to do with it?
It's nothing to do with OMCI for this default VLAN. If you want the management of OLT, you need to use some, for example, is the CLI or through the gRPC talk to the Open OLT adapt agent. So you can use another management to send out the default VLAN to the for each of the OLT.
Right. No, but again, right? So correct me if I'm wrong. Sorry, Julie, if I am spending way too much time on this one a little bit. Is the VOLTHA communication to the device is all layer 3, it's all IP, right? So to me, I feel like as long as you put the device IP address on that VLAN interface when you boot it up, one of the turn-up procedure for the edge core is you basically it's x86, just assign IP address into the interface, right? So the interface will be the VLAN, and then the VLAN will associate to the NNI port, and so the communication, I would think, is from the VOLTHA or ONOS to the device is all layer 3. It's all IP address.
No, it's not just the layer 3 behavior. It's a relative. The Qumran chip behavior is a kind of the separating with the Qumran or the user space behavior, how to recognize the management traffic pass through the Qumran, the chip up to the and maybe you specify the specify the uplink port. So you need to apply some API code to the Common chip to identify which port you want to pretend the management event management interface.
Right.
So
and on that thought, sorry.
Okay, you go ahead.
No. On that thought, this one also related to that, right? You're expecting to use the same default VLAN too if you have multiple inline ports. And then the default VLAN could be on the lag, right? If you have a single member lag or multiple member lag, and then the device the diverse link to the multiple aggregation switches. So no, Jason, I think I would depend on you guys and then the Broadcom. I'm trying to get Broadcom here to attend this meeting this time.
So the first we can address based on the new power SDK to see what we can do on the list on this management event management. So it's the not very clear specification for the this topic. So we need to discuss more information from the Broadcom SDK. So we can talk about more later.
Okay. And of course, I think for other non-Broadcom based OT, I don't want to ignore everybody. The same requirement will be applied to all the non-Broadcom based OOTs. So, I would also invite except Tibet. I'm not sure about Tibet. But for the other CIG or Atran and other OOTs, I think these and Nokia, I think these will be the same requirement. Okay. And automation testing. So I assigned it a test suite. I assigned this to Northforge. And log management. Yes.
George here. So yeah, it's actually not unit testing. I think Atran are taking care of the unit. It's automation testing. It's more of a system test because it's driven through the CLI.
You know what? I can never understand the unit testing or system testing. Sorry, it's my mistake.
No problem. And one more thing, Shauna. So I think you had the Northforge also for the scalability. So right now we're not working on that. There's some discussion with ONFQA in terms of way forward about using BBC, but we haven't gone into that yet. We're still finalizing the test automation. We have about 2-3 weeks left to finish the current tests.
But so George, I'm tagging you anyway.
Okay. Yeah, we're talking about it. Yeah. Okay. Got it.
Because we have 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Log management, and I think that's a joint discussion with Siba. So that Zach he has some ideas.
Yeah. Sean, I also kind of wanted to open that up. That's really an operational question too. If people could bring operational stories or other sorts of ways that they would like logging to work. We've gotten some feedback that that people want dynamic log levels, and I know that's been implemented irregularly across various components. It's possible in ONOS. I think it has been or not been parts of various components in VOLTHA.
In 2.0, it's part of VOLTHA.
Okay, yeah, and ways that that's controlled from an administrative standpoint, just to let somebody who's operationally using the system dive deeper or not so deep, depending on their needs. So yeah, I'd really like to get everyone involved because it touches so many different parts of the systems.
Yeah, and then as I said, we talk about this one since day one.
Right.
And I added VOLTHA SDN controller agnostic. I think one of the VOLTHA statement of this project is that VOLTHA is device agnostic, SDN controller agnostic. So we have not addressed this one. So I added this one. I think it's time. So I added this one on the table. And then we will do with time. We definitely will allocate time to do the VOLTA 2.1 release planning and about release discussion. I think these two probably will be more Broadcom specific. So as I said, I'm trying to get Broadcom engaged on this meeting this time. On the CBA side, I just go quickly. The device manager for the pod, right? I think the Redfish and Jason, you have some story on that of your white box OLT, and then using the Redfish, or some BMCs. I want to see the current status because right now that also has been on the table for a long time. I think the device manager used to be the JIRA and user story for the VOLTA, but right now we've moved it to on the CBA side.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. We have we upload our source code. I mean, is Redfish source code is coming from Intel ISD. We also commit the agent, the Kafka agent for the event, and metric agent to the GitHub, HCO GitHub. So you can see, I don't remember the CBA JIRA number. You can search on the CBA JIRA.
Right. I think you.
Yeah.
If I'm correct, maybe Zai, you can talk about this a little bit.
Yeah, I talked to Jason a bit or communicated by email. I haven't gone through the process of helping get that integrated. I think it kind of fell off the plate. So I'll pay attention to that and try and get that integrated.
Right. So that is my understanding also. That's why I say current status update. If the code has been submitted, then whether we can take advantage of the code, right? So I actually added one. I don't know what the community what they think. One question to the AdTran is, should AdTran also provide a pod on site when doing the meeting, whether they have the OOT and ONT on site? I think that may be able to. I think that may not be the bad idea, just in case we're going to have some hands-on related stuff. So I'm going to ask the AdTran for that, or maybe ONAP you can remote access your pod remotely. I'm just wondering what sometimes when people see in the eye probably better. Technology profile and the meter band management. What is the role of the CBA, and then I would assume the profile and then the meter band were coming down from the northbound and on the CBA to create or to modify, right? So I want to see what's the current status, whether it has been considered. The status on FCAF support, event and alarm management, and current status update, and what is the role? I think I have since day one. Also, I have the confusion regarding to the alarm. What's the role of the hardware, or VOLTA, or NAM, or CBA northbound? What do they play in the role of defining, reporting the alarm, and also defining the alarm? So I think that's why I listed here. I think if we can use this opportunity to nail down the strategy on the device on the alarm and also the PM, I think that will be beneficial for the whole community. So I would expect that maybe Matt and the Foundry can provide some input on that one too. And then the performance monitoring, including the current counter and historic counter retrieval and reporting and support. And then I have the abstract OOT. I think Foundry did a demo one time, but I don't know whether what had been updated since so far. So I assigned some time for Foundry to, introduce this again to the participants of this lockdown, and then I think the thing is maybe stir up some discussion among the operators, see whether they can also utilize this code AT&T contribute, and then what's the interface defined to utilize this abstract OOT. So security management, we have been since day one too. So we have always put it as a last, and if we can touch some of that, that'd be great. And then see about automation testing, including scalability also. So I will send out this list. I'll clean it up a little bit. I'll send out this maybe in the email form, and then anybody, if there are topic you want to address or you don't think it worth the time to be part of the face-to-face meeting, then let me know. So add or remove or modification. But I really strongly, I think most of the people on this call right now have been to the lockdown. You know the benefit of the lockdown. So I really appreciate everybody's participation and hope you can make the RSVP to me as soon as you can. And then the other thing is the hotel available, like for example, the La Quinta or whatever, that's a $52 a night. So there are hotels still available. So but I do want. I think Astran has a list of the hotels. They have the association with, but again, most of the hotel they listed on that week has been fully booked. So. Again, so any comments, please provide to me, and then I will get this floor back to. Before I give it back to Julie, any questions?
So, is there an update on ONAP integration? I mean, it's part of the Acrano blueprint, but I'm not sure where that stands.
I was wondering whether that should be part of the discussion. Let me think about it. Right now, I think we have full agenda right now at this point. So I think maybe that's just one thing. Maybe we can use the weekly call then to address those. By this point, I don't believe that too much we can get out of the face-to-face meeting to discuss that. I may be wrong.
Okay. Well, I'm just interested on where that stood. It seems like there's no official project within ONAP for this, but okay. So I guess there's the other thing is traffic management. If Broadcom's going to be on site, would we be able to have a discussion around traffic management as well?
And then I think that maybe Sean, like we said yesterday during the brigade, maybe that's something in one of the brigade we can get Broadcom to attend. I know the traffic management we need to include in some aspect of it. Okay, now I can raise my voice. Julie, back to you.
All right, let me get presentation rights back.
I don't know how to give that back to you. Okay.
Hopefully I have it. Can everyone see the agenda again?
Yep.
Great, thank you. So Sean, I think I heard you on here, Sean Massette. So if possible, would you be able to give us a recap on what's going on with the Tech Profile Brigade? And if there are any items we need to talk about with a larger group for progress?
Yeah, I think things seem to be coming on pretty well. I mean, there's some questions around the, northbound with the QoS and shaping and with the egress queues on the NN9 interface. That try to have some back and forth with Broadcom on that. But otherwise, things seem to be going pretty well. The Gamzi and Sora have made some changes in the flow decomposer side of things. So the metadata field with the technology profile identifier is getting down there, and the meter bands have been added for both upstream and downstream in both tables. So that's getting down there. Garish has made the changes in the adapters to take in the technology profile information, use the resource manager, and apply the bandwidth profiles. So that there's kind of integration work going on there at this moment. It seems to be going fairly well. There's a little uncertainty around the Broadcom queuing capabilities, but we will work through that.
Okay, thanks. Any questions from the group? All right. Sean, did you have anything else you'd wanted to ask related to the flow decomposition? I think you mentioned that a little bit ago. I believe, and Sean Missette, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the discussion related to the meter bands and all of that, I believe all that is on VOLTHA Discuss as well. So I think people have that for review. If they have questions, they can follow up there as well. Okay. Next, I wanted to circle back to a topic we touched on briefly on Tuesday. So Saurav had brought up the question about whether or not we needed to form a brigade for the adapter containerization work, especially since we've got some parallel tracks that will be going on, one for the Python-based OpenOLT adapter, and then another one for the Golang-based OpenOLT adapter. And to see if there is anything we could sort of leverage and use synergies there between common work so we're not duplicating things. So any thoughts from the group? Has anyone given that some more consideration over the last couple days on whether a brigade would be useful to help accelerate that work and coordinate that effort?
I think so, as long as it remains technical in nature. I don't want it to just be another project status update. If we can keep it very technical, very specific, then it will be helpful for all parties. Additionally, I think having someone who from Siena who's familiar with interacting with the new core might be helpful, just because some of the APIs are a little bit different, some of the function calls are a little bit different, and we're all going to end up kind of hitting the same interactions, maybe at different times, but at some point anyway. So having a forum to discuss those and figure out some things would be good.
I hear yay.
I hear one. And Sean Missette, are you still on?
Yeah, I'm still here.
So if you wanted to, could you give a quick little recap kind of to explain how the brigades are working? I believe it is pretty much, it's very focused on the technical details, sort of engineering stand-up calls to resolve issues and talk about the ongoing work. I think you guys are doing it 3 times a week, targeting 15-minute calls, something like that. I'm not sure how long they're actually going.
Yeah, actually, it got back to two calls of like 15 to 30 minutes or so. Yeah, so it's basically discussion of where folks are with their stories. There's kind of 2 parts to this. 2 groups kind of working. So one is like the northbound side of things, like I'm calling northbound, which is the OpenFlow and ONOS, and then the VOLTHA core, and then there's the adapter work that Garish and people working on back in Bangalore. So it's a matter of what integration issues are there, what problems do we have. So Shad has been helping out resolving some of those issues. So it's not a long meeting. It goes by pretty fast, and issues are brought up, and it's used to resolve problems and do planning on how to work around issues.
Thanks, Sean.
Julie, I have an idea. Instead of maybe Matt, you can also chime in. I'm wondering whether we can use, for example, the Tuesday calls on the VOLTHA. We can extend half an hour earlier, and then also we use the first half an hour for the Thursday VOLTHA calls, and devote those 2 30-minute slots for the brigade, Would that be one? Would that be too much?
I mean, for me, that's
huh?
I mean, yeah, I guess 30 minutes earlier on both the Tuesday and Thursday call works for Matt. But anybody else obviously would have to chime in if it works for them or not.
When Julie, you don't kill me. When I say Thursday, I use the 7 to 7:30 as a brigade. So I'm taking 30 minutes off our weekly meetings. Would that be okay?
Right now, we don't have a lot. Usually we've been trying to save the Thursdays for deep dives where possible. We've kind of been flip-flopping things around lately and doing some of those technical discussions Tuesdays, so we end up with updates on Thursdays as well. Right now, the only thing we have on the agenda for deep dives is next Thursday, tentatively, some discussion related to multiple TCONs.
Okay.
So, unless we get a lot of other items, and we need to have some more discussion on the Golang OpenOLT adapter design, I'm probably going to target next Tuesday for that. So I think on Thursday we probably could do it, and as long as we're adding the time in front on Tuesday, because I don't think we can steal any time away from Tuesdays at this point. Okay.
Would that be okay with everybody here?
You mean having 1.5 hours on Tuesday and 1.5 hours on Thursday?
Yes. And Thursday we use the first half hour of today's call. So we didn't add additional time on Thursday.
I'm okay for Thursdays, but Tuesdays, it may be a stretch 1.5 hours for me.
Yeah, that also might run the SIBA call.
So we were going to put it before so that we still end before the SIBA call. I know we're awfully tight. Okay. Thursdays. Okay, let's float that around a little bit. I think it could be an option at least. So another question for the group then is those have typically been, so the brigade that we have going on right now, that's been sort of organized and led by Sarov. Yeah, I'm perfectly free to host these calls, but I think it would be better to have one of the developers as the leader for the brigade discussions, so that we can get everything handled quickly and efficiently for the developers. So I could open the bridge and then just kind of stay out of the way. I think that probably would be most beneficial to the team, because it'd be similar to how it's operating for the Tech Profile Brigade. Any thoughts from the group?
No, I think that's perfect. And then Ken, so on Tuesday, 10:30 to 11, you say this is not good for you? No?
Yeah, it's not good.
Okay. 10:30 to 11. Okay, so we'll find different time on Tuesday. Or
I mean, I guess we need to make sure it works for Radis's folks as well, who are spread.
That's why I like to have it early, because they're in the time, they can be very.
I think for,
Julie, don't hate me.
For most folks, yeah. Well, I was going to say the other. Go ahead.
I know. I was saying 6:30 to 7, but we can have a Monday. Maybe the 30 minutes on Monday, 1 on Thursday. I think we can add that. We can do that. So 30 minutes on Monday, and then 30 minutes on Thursday. I think that's what I even out, right? So Tuesday and Thursday are probably too close. So let's find a early time frame to see whether we can do that on Monday.
Okay, and I usually have calls starting at 6, so it may be a little tricky for me to find a time that I can host. But we'll talk about that separately.
I'm expecting the CIBA RDT will be
okay.
Will be done.
And I think that this Thursday option for stealing 30 minutes from these calls works, since the brigade should be a short-lived brigade as well. It's not going to go on in perpetuity, so I think that would be fine. And since most people already have it on their schedule, then it's not making an adjustment, so finding a second time. Another comment is that with the Tech Profile Brigade, they also have targeted discussions over email that are related, just between the developers to address things that, one, to capture agreements or path forward or discussion topics that they need to capture and get resolution. They have those on email for tracing and for discussion, and that way also they have additional communication outside of the stand-up meetings. So I think it'd be easy to set something like that up for the group once we know who's going to be involved in the brigade also. Okay, so Sean Ying, let's talk about some other options for that second call, see if we can find a time slot that works for people, and then bring that to the group for discussion, since I know we don't have everyone represented on today's call. I think this one we can say is firm. It's just the second time. We need to find something. Okay. All right. Any other discussion on this topic from the group? Do we have an idea of who would be the best person to lead that brigade, or do we need some further thought on that?
I grudgingly volunteer.
Thanks.
I'll second that.
Okay. Anything else on that topic today? Then I think we'll move on. The last item I wanted to go over today, actually, before I do that, let me circle back to the discussion topics that were addressed. So a few of those were on our future list. So the adapter HA discussions, looking at options there. So I'll move this item off of our future to a list for the, I just have it noted here that it's going to be during the face-to-face meeting. Similarly, the IGMP one would be covered, I believe, under the.
But Julie, potentially we'll
yes?
potentially we'll go over some of the discussion already before we come to the Huntsville, right?
Yes. So if we have discussion we want to have in advance, then certainly we can slot those in. But we may have additional discussion at the face-to-face. So if you have something you'd like to bring up for one of the upcoming Thursday meetings, let me know, and we'll try and get that slotted in. Okay. Any other comments? Okay. Then the last thing on the agenda for today is I did want to take a look at where we are with the scope that was identified for Sprint 14. I know we still do not have some owners for some items. And one item, this one, I'm not sure the ONU registration ID, if that one is still going to be in 2.0 or if this was going to go into a later time. Do we have a view on this item on 1022?
This was actually a DT request.
Yes.
And we kind of traded that off with working on the tech profiles with the idea that someone else would be picking that one up. So they may have issues with that.
Right. I think we had Jason is assigned to this one. I think we've got Bjorn on the call. We had some discussion back and forth, but it kind of is I think it's at a standstill unless things have been going on in the back that I'm not aware of. Do we need to bring this back up for a discussion on one of the Thursday calls to review the options again, or a side meeting?
Oh, sure. Okay.
Let me think about that and discuss
Okay.
it again internally, and then I come up with a proposal to handle it forward.
Okay, thanks, Bjorn. I know we had some presentations from Amit and from Jason, but I think we kind of stalled after that on moving. So appreciate that, Bjorn, and I'll wait to hear back from you. And let me see if we've got Keita on. I don't see Keita. I believe some of the VBSIM items are being handled now through SIBA, but I'll wait to hear back from Keita on those. I have one item that this one, we haven't heard anything back on this item. This is for VOLTHA was not connecting to several controllers. And so this was opened a while back with a patch in there. We had a question out there related to the testing that they had done before this was merged in, and haven't received a response. So at this point, I don't know if we should move this out of the release, especially since we're moving over to 2.0 here. Do we have any thoughts from the group? This is related to OF agent.
Open it.
Daniel Velasco? But I think until we get some response back, we're kind of at a standstill because we wanted to know about what testing had happened before any merge was done in Garrett. So it's been on hold for quite a while. Okay, so Sean Yang, maybe you and I can talk about that offline. OMCI work, that's moving along, so I don't think we need to skip into that one. Same with the tech profile work. And then we've got the cluster deployment. Okay, so I think it's going back to the to-do call. We had one item here. We may not have the right folks on the bridge for today because this was assigned to Amit. So I may need to talk when he's on the call. We have a number in the to-do column without owners. And so let me take a look here. I think this one is assigned to Shad. We have an unassigned one for reporting the operational status of the ONT Uni port data. This is one that's in the to-do column. We don't have an owner for this one. Is this something, I think, I'm not sure if Don's on the call today. I think Sean had put a question out a while back if that could be looked at there, but we may have resources tied up currently working on the containerization.
Don is off today.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, link state is there, right? Because, I mean, we pulled that from OMCI. Additional details could be pulled from OMCI regarding the nature of the uni. Looking at it, that's probably what's being asked for. But yeah, we're not actively working on it right now. But I know that that's in OMCI. Okay, so this, if we can confirm, and Chip, are you on? I think you were still on the bridge.
Yes,
I'm wondering if this is something we may be able to close out as delivered if we confirm that all of these can be communicated and retrieved over OMCI.
Yeah, I'll assign that to me and I'll look at it and make a comment on whether to close it or not. Because I think we do have that, and then we just probably need to verify if he also any attribute value changes, if that has to be communicated.
Okay, thank you. And then you're looking at that one as well. We have another one that was opened on Volt 1332. OLT becomes unreachable after recreating Volt in XOS. And this was part of, I'm not sure if we had a resolution on what to do here. It was, came out of a testing script that was done, and they needed to allow more time, I think, because something was timing out.
I think this may have been related to some of the work Chad's been doing. With restarting, deleting, re-adding OLTs, reconnecting the gRPC interface. May get caught up in fixing that. You know, the XOS part is really just reporting what can be done directly in VOLTHA anyway. So this may follow that.
Not worded very well here, but we'll at least get a comment in there. Okay, and then the BBSIM ones, I think we need to follow up on where that work is happening. And then same on the, I think this was for BBSIM for Oh, just some discussion on what would be required to support EPON in the tech profile. So that could be a discussion topic for the face-to-face as well, perhaps. And then we have another one that is, okay, this one I checked with Craig on the status, and he said this one actually needed to be, it sounded like it needed to be reworked. So even though there were some closed Garrett changes, I think we need someone to make sure this is confirmed working as expected. So this is for use OpenOLT device info for logical device ID and serial number. Do we have anyone who can take a look at that one, or take a look at what was in Garrett and see if there's still remaining work to be done?
I think this is already done.
Okay, should I go ahead and move this?
Let me have a look at it. I just comment on
Okay.
that with my name as tagged, and I will have a look at it and close if it's necessary.
Thank you. Okay. And then this one I think is related to discussion we had earlier today, which was OpenOLT is bypassing the core flow decomposer. This was related to the patch that Nick put in as a workaround a while back.
I think this one really gets fixed by just moving to the new Go core.
Yes. So do we need to keep tracking this one, or until we move to Go core, or should we close this out at this point?
I guess it's really a question is how long the 1.x branch will live on, and does it need to be applied there? Is it causing some heartburn on the existing Python branch that it needs to be dealt with there? Otherwise, it just gets naturally dealt with by moving to the new core. So it's really a question. If any of the tech profile work isn't affected by it one way or the other, then I guess it's really just a matter of when we move to the new core.
Yeah, I think it was open just to make sure that we did take it out or not use it, I guess, when it went to 2.0.
Yes.
And I did see there was a change to either one of the method signatures or the protobuf, one or the other in the new Go core for OpenOLT to remove that attribute to even allow it. So as far as I'm concerned, it's not even possible in the new core anyway.
Okay.
So do we need to keep this open on the Python side for any reason at this point, or should we close this out?
Well, it might be just good to keep you there until we go to 2.0.
Okay, we'll do
otherwise
that.
Things get forgotten.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I think the next one. Oh no, this one does have an owner. Sorry, just didn't pop up Chip's picture in there. Okay, 1444 was another one. There was a defect that we scoped in, and we don't have an owner for this one. This is for OpenOLT on OLT disable and re-enable. So Matt, is this sounds like it might be what one of the things Shad is working on? On OLT disable and re-enable, the OLT remains in unreachable state?
Maybe.
I think we had a question on whether it was related to 1443. I haven't heard back.
Yeah, it's, I could be wrong, but there's a lot of changes that have been happening there with regard to what disable means and how it's implemented, maybe changing some of the actions. And I know there was a change he committed, I want to say last week or week before, that was related to disable enable. But yeah, I haven't had a chance to personally try it.
Okay, so I think at this point I still won't assign an owner, but probably need some retesting to see if this is resolved by those recent changes. Okay, thanks, Matt. And then we had another one, 1445, and this one is, again, OpenOLT on Volta instance restart and reconcile. ONU is not in the right state, and end-to-end traffic gets interrupted. So this was another one we were hoping to have the defect resolved in this sprint.
I'm trying to work on a fix, but I don't have a fix yet. You can, tentatively assign the ownership to me. I mean, if someone has cycles, they can assign it to themselves.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have cycles? I'll ask that first before I put you down, Girish.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Girish. And let me scroll down a little bit further. I think that covers it for the ones without assignees at that point. Then another thing that I'm not sure that I want to take everyone's time on the call today. So Sean Ying, this I may follow up with you, and we can do a meeting to try and do some cleanup of the backlog. There are a number of issues and defects that are still listed as are not assigned to a sprint yet, and want to make sure that we haven't missed anything critical in terms of defects to be covered in the 2.0 release that we need to pull in. And again, it would be a matter also if we have resources to work on those, but I appreciate if folks would take a look. We can take we've got about 20 minutes left, so we can take some time on this call, but I also know the developers probably would like to get back to working on the active issues. Any views from the group for if doing a quick look at some of the old defects would be beneficial for the group, or is that a task better done by Sean Ying and myself offline for a first pass and get feedback? Yes.
Let's do that, just you and me.
Okay. All right, will do. Then I think that takes me through the topics that I had for today. And let me go back to my agenda. And I'll just ask people if you have issues you're concerned about that you want to take a quick look at the backlog and make sure you don't see anything that looks like a glaring omission that we need to pull in, please do that. And if you see something, let me know, and then we can take a look at that. We have next Thursday, Sean Missette, tentatively assigned for a discussion multiple TCONs and what would be needed to support that, and looking at some of the tech profile, meter band, and match action rules, and primarily focused on looking at use cases from the Turk Telecom workflow. Do we have other topics people would like to add to the discussion list for some focused time on most likely on one of the Thursday calls? Okay, I think I'm going to target in some time on next Tuesday's call to continue the discussion on the Golang OpenOLT adapter design. I know Amit wasn't available today, so that's why we weren't going to be able to cover that. Would it be, let me just ask a group, since we are starting up a brigade related to the containerization, do you think that topic is better discussed with that smaller group?
No, I think probably still a larger group so people understand.
Then let's slot this in for next Tuesday then.
Okay.
And also, as it's a little bit early for this, but as we're starting to get close to completing some of the larger items, if we could have teams start thinking about demos that they would be able to do kind of in the next month before the lockdown, that would be great. If we can't get anything lined up, then we'll try and slot some in right after the face-to-face meeting. So those were the topics I had. Any other items from the group before we drop today? Okay, thanks everyone, and we'll talk again soon. Thank you.